I'm Mwenyewe Dawan, Assistant Superintendent in the Wissahickon School District. I created this podcast, Leading with Dignity, Casual Conversations with Dr. Dawan, to help everyone to get to know our leaders better and all the wonderful work that they do. I'd like to highlight not just the incredible work that they do, but also have them share their passions, their personality, and some of their stories so that you can get to know them better. I hope you'll enjoy this series, and please do give us feedback. Thank you. Lynne.
Hi,
Dr. Lynne Blair. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to take this time to have a conversation with you. I'm so grateful for your time, and I'm really excited to have the opportunity to share with others all about you and your leadership and all that you do for our district. So I'm here today with Dr. Lynne Blair, High School Principal of the Wissahickon School District. And one of the things that I admire the most about you, Lynne, when I think about your leadership style, is the importance that you place on relationships and the connections that you make with your students and your staff. It is truly admirable. And it's one of the biggest glows that you have. You are an incredible leader beyond that, of course, and managing a high school with as many students and staff as you have is no small feat. So I'm excited to get to know more about you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the invitation. I love that you're doing this. I think it's very creative and innovative. And I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. That's probably the thing that I strive to do the most. So for you to recognize that is very appreciated. But it's also because the students and staff are amazing. So it's not all me. They give back in those relationships. So it's mutually beneficial.
That's awesome. So as you know, we have 3 parts to the podcast. The first part is some lighthearted conversation where we get to know you. The next part, we'll take a deeper dive into learning about your job and what you do. And then the last part is when you get to turn the tables and ask me some questions. And I see you have a book there.
I do. You'll love it.
Uh-oh, I'm a little nervous. So we'll get to that part at the end. But let's start with getting to know a little more about you. So I have a couple questions. You get to choose. One pair choice is, can you tell us what your favorite season is and why? Or who is someone you admire the most in life?
Very good questions. I like all seasons, so that one's too hard for me. So I'm going to go with who I admire. I think I admire my dad the most. So he was a very just grounded man with like very strong values, which I always appreciated. But he stood by his theory in life was all you need is 4 F's in life, and it was family, friends, faith, and fortitude. So he has instilled that in, I think, most people that knew him, but especially my immediate family. And I have called on those values a lot in my life, in good and bad times, and always tried to think like when you drill it down, that really is all that matters, and that's all you really need. So I think I admire him the most for teaching me that.
That is powerful. Will you say those 4 F's again?
Family, friends, faith, and fortitude.
Faith and fortitude. Wow. I love that. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah. I have like 4 F bracelets and like 4 F, like a sign in my house that's 4 F's. It's very much something that means something in my family.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Your next set of questions.
Okay.
What's your favorite movie, book, or play, and why? Or what's your dream vacation destination and why?
Okay, so my favorite movie, which is also a book, is called Simon Birch. I don't know if you know the story of Simon Birch.
No.
So Simon Birch, you'll hear about it at graduation. I talked about it in my graduation speech.
Wait a minute.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. So the kids will probably be like, this is so lame, but it's fine. You might like it. So it's about it's a little person who was born with health impairments, and he's compromised, but he is very steadfast on believing that he has a purpose in life, and is just insistent upon it, and he surrounds himself with people that support him and believe in him, and then he kind of distances himself from those that don't, so that kind of lift that up for him. And then, I don't want to ruin the story for you, just in case you ever do watch the movie, it's really good. He finds out what his purpose is, and it becomes very obvious to everyone, like, oh, he was right, he did have this calling, and then he kind of doesn't need to be here anymore after that purpose is fulfilled. So I saw that as when I was much younger, and it's just sort of stuck with me and resonated with me that I like kind of believe I have this like inner Simon voice that tells me I have a purpose all the time, and I have to keep trying to search for it and find it and surround myself with people who understand that and help me find and go down roads that will help me get there, and then kind of steer away from people who like take me away from that. Yeah.
Okay, well, wow, that's powerful.
I know these are two serious questions.
They
I'm
are.
going to go crazy on the
It's
next one. I'm gonna go, my personality is more sarcastic and funny than serious. So
I'm seeing a different side of
yeah,
you,
we're
Dr.
gonna go there.
Blair.
We're gonna go back.
I love it. I do love it, though. Thank you so much, and I will look up that book.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
So the book is.
Would you suggest book or movie first?
So the movie, I really like the movie. I just really,
Okay.
I really like the movie, and it has like Jim Carrey and Ashley Judd, but it's from like the 80s.
Oh, wow.
So like young
Okay.
version.
Okay.
Yeah. Very good.
We'll check it out.
You'll like it.
Movie recommendations from
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Blair. I love it. All right. And the last set of questions is, what are some personal passions or interests you have outside of your role here in the district? Or what's one thing people would be surprised to know about you?
Okay, we'll go sarcastic and funny. One thing that you would be surprised to know about me is I've lived in my house for 8 years, I think, and I've used my oven one time, and it was for slice and bake cookies with my 3-year-old niece at the time. So I do not cook. I have no interest in cooking. It is like I don't need an oven. I could have a house without a kitchen.
What?
Like just not my thing. Yep.
Okay. You do eat.
I eat.
You do
yes,
eat,
I eat. Yes.
but you do not cook.
Correct.
Oh, this
Correct.
is a judgment-free zone.
Yes.
And so all are welcome here, even the
I do not
non-cookers.
cook. Yes.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I will
So don't ever come over for dinner.
I will never come over for dinner. I will never ask you to cook anything.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I do not enjoy cooking.
Yes, well,
but
I remember
do cook.
you making a personal goal for yourself of being a not better host, but more excited about hosting, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Part of that is because
Didn't
I do
work
not
out.
enjoy cooking. But I do cook, and I am good at it, so people don't understand how I could not enjoy it because I am so good at it. People also make assumptions that I enjoy it.
Yes, because you're good.
Right. Which I do not enjoy.
Yes.
But I do it, and I certainly do love cooking for people that I love. So there's that. Okay, ready to take a deep dive?
Yes.
Let's start with talking about your daily activities. What's a typical day like in your life as a high school principal?
No such thing, which is why I love the job. They're really, initially when I went to education, I was a teacher, and I felt like there was more of a typical day, you know, not that there wasn't things that happened, but like I knew I had pre-calc first period, calc second period, blah, blah. And this job, and then after I became a school counselor, it's very much like not predictable, which I like. Sometimes it's a little overwhelming, but I like it. But on average, I would say, I start my day every day by greeting the kids, if I can, 95% of the time I do, at the doors. So we have like a bus door and a driver door, so I have to alternate between the two. But that's like just a fun highlight, just kind of like everyone just welcome, make them kind of relax, feel like they're excited to come to school that day. On a rainy, dark day, I get like no good mornings, and on a more sunny day, I get like, hey, good morning, Dr. Blair. So I can just like sense the mood by like the doors. And then I just go to, like, I have a ton of meetings, which is sometimes hard because it takes me away from what I really want to be doing, which is like being in the classrooms or interacting more with the kids. So I feel like sometimes my role is like less student facing than I would like it to be. But I also know that that's part of the role, and I kind of have to do those things so that the other people can be student facing and be successful. But I try to do as much of that as I can. And then, so I'll do a variety of committee meetings, whether it's, student assistants or department chairs or teachers, get into classrooms and do observations to give teachers feedback on their instruction. And then just, that's kind of the way it is. And then always committee meetings after school. We have a lot of committees that our teachers volunteer for, which is great. And they're like planning the next great things that will happen at the high school. So that's kind of like a typical day. But then in there comes like this fire, and you have to kind of put that out. One thing that my secretaries know, which is like just my number one thing, if a student comes in and asks to meet that day, it's always yes. So if that means they have to cancel a meeting, pull me out of a committee or whatever, if a student comes, I never say like tomorrow, because they're seeking me out for a reason. So they win, they trump everything.
Oh, and that's why we're here. Right?
Yeah.
Students first,
Yeah,
always. I love that.
Yeah. So sometimes I wish they would just come all day so I wouldn't have to do anything else. But, yeah.
I'm thinking about you and your moving about the building and always on the move.
Yes. Oh, I have a cart.
And your cart. That's
cart.
exactly where I was going. Your
Yes.
cart, so that you can be everywhere and anywhere.
Yeah.
And take all the things.
Mm-hmm. I have an office on a cart. It's got a bell, a flag, slippers, so just in case my feet hurt, cup holder for a soda, a computer. Yep, everywhere. I take it with me.
Yes, I love it. I love it. It is quite a sight.
Yeah.
Tell us what inspired you to pursue this role.
Truthfully, it's been people. So I have when I went into teaching, I thought I was going to be a math teacher forever. That was, I loved math and I liked kids. So I was like, boop, that'll be it.
Perfect.
But it was always, like I had a mentor when I was a teacher, and then that mentor kind of led me into school counseling. And then I had a mentor in school counseling who was an assistant principal at the time. And he was like, Lynn, I think you should go into administration. So I did the assistant principal, and then I had a mentor when I was an assistant principal. So for me, it's always been like a connection with a colleague that I felt helped me grow, and then kind of pushed me into the next thing because they saw something in me, and then I trusted them. So I think for me, it's mentoring. And that's why as a leader, whether it's mentoring for students or mentoring for teachers, like it's always a priority for me because I've benefited so much from it. So I try to, like, if I see a teacher who I think would be like an amazing school counselor or an amazing instructional coach or a great administrator or anything like that, or a department chair, I'll say to them, like, have you ever had an interest in this? And is there anything I can do to, like, expose you to it or support you? Just because I kind of want to give back to the people that did that for me. So, but they've been kind of like a part of my story all along.
Yeah, that shows when I think about your relationships with your administrative team, your staff, and even like to your point, your students. That sort of mentorship is something that is very evident in your relationships, and advocacy. It's mentorship and advocacy. You know, seeing opportunities for students and staff to be involved. It's powerful. You know, when you are tapped on the shoulder and someone says, I believe in you.
Yes.
I see this in you.
Yeah.
Now go for it. You know, it's powerful. So that's amazing that you strategically and consciously think about ways to give back in that way. I love that.
Thanks.
When I think about your day, and I know every day is like, it could be any type of day,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Anything goes.
Exciting.
You know, the fires and all those things.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, how do you approach challenges that arise in your position?
Yeah. So I try to be a very like deliberate thinker. So I try not to ever like quickly react or like impulsively make a decision. Like, and even if it's a big fire that needs immediate attention, sometimes I'm just like, okay, take a second, step back, get all the facts, and then go. So I think like very strategic in that effort. But then if it's something that is like I have time to address, then I try to like really partner with a lot of different people, whether it's my bosses like you or Dr. Chris, anyone, and say like, hey, how would you approach this? Or colleagues like the middle school principal, we interact a lot, or just my admin team. And then if it's like I need to get opinions from teachers or whatever, I try to do that. But if it's something fast, I just really do try to like pause for a second, because I feel like if you act too quickly, you're going to miss something, you know?
We've talked recently, I think over the last couple of years, about the power of pause.
Yeah.
The power of pause, because, you know, we are moving so quickly in a lot of things that we have to do. Some of those fires, to your point, have to be put out now.
Yeah.
And even in those cases, we have to pause. Information. We have to think and be strategic in how we approach things.
Yeah.
I know something that you do is leverage the strength of your team.
Yes.
Your staff groups, your student groups. You'll talk about, you know, you're working on this and you're working with your PAC principal advisory committee on this, and they're part of the conversation. And that helps, I think, as leaders, it helps us to gain different perspectives.
Yeah. And
far greater, like we're so much smarter.
Yes.
When we have all of the brains in the room with all these different perspectives and ideas to add to
Yeah. Well, that's what I tell kids all the time. Like when they're about to graduate, like I'm like, if you are the smartest person in the room, you need to go to a different room. Like, so I don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. You know what I mean? Like, because then I can learn from other people. But it's funny. So years back before you came, and we had a different assistant superintendent and a different HR director, it used to be a joke that anytime we would do hiring, it would always be like, Lynn has to sleep on it, because I would never make a decision. I'm like, I need to go home and sleep on it, and then I'll call you tomorrow. But I like really believe that. But it was always like, oh, we're not going to decide today because Lynn says she has to sleep on it. But I like always had to sleep on it, and I still do that. Like, I'm like, I need a minute just to like think about all angles of it. You know what I mean? So I like to sleep on it kind of person.
I love it. I love it. I know you have a lot of projects, right? Like in the high school, there is always something going on. What's one project that you'd want to share with us at this time?
Well, we're doing some cool stuff. We are starting PBIS at the high school next year. So I think that's the school-wide norms and stuff, but I think it's really going to tie the community together a little bit. I don't think the high school necessarily is as strong as it can be in terms of school spirit. It's not, I think we struggle with that a little bit sometimes, and kids only tie school spirit to like winning teams. Like, it's tied to athletics and you have to win, and then they're like, then we'll have school spirit. But I think you can look at school spirit in like different ways, more like school pride, I guess. So I think if we have these norms, but then also these incentives that everyone's working towards, it'll build a sense of community and pride. So I am looking forward to that. And then we're looking at kind of like not changing our schedule, big time changing the schedule, but looking at, are there opportunities to incorporate like that office hours mindset that we had during COVID into our day now in a better way than we're doing it now through IE. So whether that's like a period 0 in the morning or a lunch and learn in the middle of the day, just kind of exploring those things that again would take some time to like roll out, but just starting to have the conversations with staff who are invested in different ways, and then some students who have thoughts on it, and then go and do some visits and that kind of thing. So it's in the early stages, but it's still really exciting.
Well, I could have guessed that staff and student groups were going to be a part of the conversation because you always, again, want to tap into their thoughts on that. That's awesome. Yeah. So PBIS, which is Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, and looking at the schedule for creative ways to inject some of those office hours construct from the past. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah. That's awesome. I think we're at the stage, unless you have anything else you want to share.
No, I'm ready.
Oh, she's ready to turn the tables. Tell us about this book.
All right, so this book is really awesome. During the pandemic, my mom with her book club, early on in the stages where they weren't like getting together or anything, she came up with this. She got this book and then would send a question a day to all of her friends, and they would all answer, and it just like maintained their relationships, which was great. So I have the book, and it's 3,000 questions. So you pick a number, and I will ask you a random question. Oh. So one number between 1 and 3,000.
I'm going to start with 23.
23. You go low. Okay. What is your most marked characteristic?
Most marked characteristic.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
What I have been told. Now, okay. So am I answering the question as a Wissahickon School District employee leader, or
do both?
Yeah, do both. I would say in terms of leadership characteristic, I think I would say the way in which I aspire to, and people have told me, I treat people with dignity. So I would say in terms of leadership, that would probably be it. Treating people with dignity and being fair, listening.
You definitely do that.
Oh, thank you. Personal characteristic, it might be the same now that I think about it.
That's nice.
Yeah. Might be the same. I'm going to go with that.
Okay. All right. Give me another number.
Okay, let's go higher. Let's say 1,217. As I'm watching you flip through this. Don't ask me to repeat the number.
1,217. I got it.
Okay.
Can you? I might ask you to do it. Can you stand on your hands unassisted?
No,
I couldn't either.
Stand on my hands. There was a time when I could.
You could?
There was a time.
Oh my God! No, I could never.
When I was younger, I tumbled.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. I could do a headstand.
You could?
I could.
We do it. No, I'm
no.
just kidding.
One day I will show you. I can do a handstand, but not a handstand.
Wow, I couldn't do it.
Yoga. I'm a yogi.
Okay.
Yeah. So I frequently do yoga. My sister actually is a yoga instructor.
Oh.
Not as her full-time job,
Okay.
but something that she does on the side of a hobby, but she is very good at it. And so every Sunday she hosts a yoga class at our parents' house. Well, my father's passed away, but my mom is still there. And for all of the sisters, we come together, and she instructs, has a yoga class for the sisters.
That's so nice.
And our mom and any of the nieces and nephews can come too. Like, our brother could come, but he lives a little further away.
Yeah.
Primarily the girls show up. And every Sunday morning.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. It's
How many sisters do you have?
3 sisters and 1 brother.
Okay.
So there are 5 of us in total.
Wow. That's cool. That's cool. All right, give me another number. One more.
Another number. Okay, let's go to 2, 3, 7, 9. 2,379.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I like this one. What's your outlook on life?
Sunny.
I like that. Yeah. Good days ahead.
I was going to say, sometimes partly sunny. But sunny. I do try to have a sunny outlook on life. I do try to start the day and come into any situation assuming the best will happen, assuming the positive intent from anyone I'm interacting with.
Yeah.
And it helps me to, I think it helps me to, first of all, my mental well-being, right? Like coming into situations, thinking the best of people and the best of outcomes. Yeah. But
that's good. I like that.
You know, you the last one you pick.
Okay. I want to find like a funny one.
No.
Okay, that's good. I like it. What gives you the creeps?
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't who gives you the creeps.
What gives you the creeps? This might be a little weird.
Okay, no, it's good. I like it. No, I like it.
Hair in the drain.
Oh, me too. It's gross.
It's so gross.
It's so gross, and I have so much hair, and it falls out, and it's my own hair. I still think it's gross. It's gross.
Yes.
Hands down gross.
It's the worst. Okay, well, I feel like I've overshared, but there we go.
It's good.
Dr. Blair, thank you so much for spending this time with me today and sharing, and I hope that we'll have another opportunity to talk again soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
As we wrap up, I want to encourage everyone to keep leading with dignity. And remember, everyone's story matters. Until next time, let's stay involved, let's stay inspired, let's stay connected, and let's stay curious. Thanks for joining me today on Leading with Dignity, Casual Conversations with Dr. Dawan to help us celebrate our leaders.